Crypto is at a very strange point. Now I'm going to open your eyes a little bit to what do you think we're going to get next? Are we going to go a lot lower, have a bit of a liquidation event and a problem, or have we bottomed? I know. In this video, I'm going to break down whether we need one or not. And this cycle is a little bit different in terms of the past. It has been, I'd say, more boring, less things happening, which, as you can imagine, bit of a problem as it comes to attention. But I'll be honest with you, I do think crypto hasn't changed that much. I feel that it likes to do its own thing anyways, even though there'll be people in the comments saying, well, there's loads of developments. That doesn't really matter. There's a lot of ETFs. That doesn't really matter. There's one side of the market we do need to talk about in a minute, which could upset everything a little bit. So if you want to stay calm, not panic, and just understand the obvious in the room, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and comment overall, as you wish, your thoughts. So I want to set somewhat the narrative, right? I don't want to go fully balls deep into the psychology of it, but let's talk about the key obvious points in the room, which is clear. Crypto holders are bored, tired, and the altcoins have continually bled out, right? That's kind of the obvious. But every single bounce, and I'll talk about that in a minute, gets sold into. Every bullish setup gets, very much questioned and scrutinized. Is this the bottom? But overall, the retail confidence, it's weak. Like, look at the view count. Look at X impressions. I mean, it's just not the same, is it? We know that, but that is bear market things. But that's the thing. People are either waiting for that absolute obvious bottom, and I don't think $64,000 is kind of low enough realistically for a bottom event, but that is from the past. Whether that's different moving forward, I don't know, right? But I do feel a lot of people have somewhat emotionally, you could argue, checked out a little bit and just kind of went, I'll come back when it's a bit better. But let's talk about, you could argue, the capitulation events, right? You got price, the fast moving rocket ship downwards, and oh my God, like lunar crashes and FTX or all that kind of stuff. That's where altcoins will get hit hard, and that's what we're kind of used to in previous cycles. But the main one, I think, and we could talk about the other one in a second, but time. No big crash, just months and months of drops, slow down, which then leads to obviously new lows every single time. And people get excited for a little bit and it's like, you know, the Roy Hodgson meme, if you know, you know. But then you've got the third and obvious one now when you talk about it is the sentiment. Sentiment capitulation. Quite simple. People stop caring. It's like, when you put it all together, it's kind of simple, isn't it? But the real question is, as I say, do we need one big crunch, crash, wallop, bang, whatever, just to rip off the band-aid and then we can start afresh? Because what could realistically create this problem, a final flush? Bitcoin could lose the major support level at 60K. That is the most obvious if you're going to look at it. With that, you've got potentially liquidity drying up because people have lost interest, time, sentiment, and the world of the sentiment alone has killed everything, and people are like, this is a bit shit. Money's getting moved around, people are not interested anymore, and they walk away. You got the macro fear, rates, inflation, the dollar, yields, whatever, the geopolitical elements with Trump and stuff and the conflict. That could create problems, and I will talk about something in a minute about that, which you need to listen about. But then you got the new dynamic, realistically, for me, the ETF institutional holders. They're not used to volatility. If we have, like previous cycles, a big, massive 20% drop, for example, in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever, they might absolutely shit themselves. That could lead to a problem. As I've said before in previous videos, that realistically, for me, is the thing that moves the needle more than anything at the minute due to sentiment, volume, whatever. Now, whether that then obviously leads to forced liquidations, stop losses hit, that cascade, yes, quite clear, which could create that flush as well. Then you've got the altcoin capitulation, which will be a problem because dominance is still high, especially for Bitcoin. And some of those BTC pairs are looking a bit, well, shit. So let's jump on the screen. This is Bitcoin currently. The previous all-time high level, we've lost it, let's be fair, we're still floating. And this little candle here on the 3-day time frame looks a little bit cack. That is, again, looking at the same sort of pattern where, as I said before, we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down, we go up. You can get the idea. It's a bit shit, isn't it? And that could be the problem. We could be looking at a level of support getting totally lost. We could be losing, again, this $59,000 level, which has been a retest. We could go and revisit it again, which could create people problems, basically. You've got, obviously, weakness across the RSI. Everything's just looking dog shit. But as well, as I say, altcoins will puke pretty hard. And I've had people ask me questions before. Where do you see Ethereum going? Do you see Ethereum like going low? I see it going down here personally. I'm looking to potentially hit the fucking trade button. Maybe, I don't know. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we could be looking at that situation where we could be going into these like $700, $500 levels, which is in line with the past from these periods back in the previous pump. But the reason why, and let me just talk about the logic, because I know people will disagree with me, the BTC pair is so much lower than the previous lows. When you talk about like the previous market and all these kind of big massive pushes to the upside, I don't know what they're doing there for, where to remove those. But the reality is quite simple. This is so much lower than the previous lows from 2022. So that's a problem. We're all the way down here. So when you take away that discount of like, oh, price, and then you remove Bitcoin's price, it's going to equal Ethereum's probably going to go below $1,000 if Bitcoin goes towards those 40K levels, because that's just going to fucking fall out of its ass. That's going to be a bit of an issue, especially for the narrative and for people to get somewhat excited again about crypto. Some people will, most people won't. That's just the reality of it, because that's how markets work. People don't want prices when it looks like dog turd, unless you know. However, this is a thing. We talk about it again. What could it look like? Extreme fear, pure volume issues, liquidity crisis. It's going to be pretty dog shit. So I'm on the line of, well, that's probably more likely to happen only because we've had that before, where we have that liquidation event, we have that flush, we have that sentiment crisis, and there's no one there to pick up the pieces. It creates a bit of an issue. And we've had 2 of those retests already. More than likely, looking at the weakness right now, we might get a third. If that had more of a bounce, probably be a different narrative right now. It doesn't though, does it? No, it doesn't. But let's talk about something here. The other side of the argument, where the crash is coming, the bottom's in, right? I get it. SpaceX, on the screen, you can trade it on here if you so wish to. Don't have to, but there's a link below. Really good platform. You can get more of the other markets, which is more interesting right now. But SpaceX could be the problem, maybe. We'll see. Because when we talk about the world of Bitcoin, sentiment, market flushes, all that kind of stuff, right? We're talking about the other market, bear with me, the S&P 500, for example. I know SpaceX is not in the S&P 500 right now, but my point is we're quite high. Where's the money going to go with profit taken from SpaceX? Now, just to give you a bit of an idea, let me just show you SpaceX. There it is. Bosh. It's a little bit mental. It is dropping though, right? So profit taking is going to happen. We know this. It's quite clear. Where's that money going to flush from or into, or where's it going to go? That could lead to a bit of a problem and a bit of an angle you can look at. Because the market is not going to give you a clear warning when something's going to go a bit wrong on the other side of the market, because people will then panic. As I say, institutional investors who are investing, say, gold, the Dow Jones index funds, freaking whatever, insert big asset here, SpaceX probably, could lead to problems where they need liquidity, and liquidity could be getting drawn out of crypto to cover their shit because they've shut themselves and they've got flushed out of the other market. That could be the problem as well. I know you're going to ask this one question, and I know it's coming. What are you going to do? Well, this is why I've set it up. And feel free to jump in Patreon. You'll learn all about this if you want to learn about exit plans and stuff. This is why I've had these on my levels for ages. These are like levels I would want to buy. I've got a number in my head. I've got an amount of stable currencies and I've got a number of how much Bitcoin I want. Simply that. And then in the next cycle, providing everything goes tickety-boo and I get my Bitcoin, at the end of the day, I will take profit at the highs. It's all about having a plan. So I'm not going all in. I still have Bitcoin. I'm not panic selling, right? I'm just watching the market go to certain areas because that's what you're supposed to do in a bear market. It's supposed to be boring, right? Sorry. But if I do deploy, as I say, my capital into these zones, I'm going to have more Bitcoin than I had before because I sold up here. I sold at an average of 116,000, if you're wondering. Again, journals on Patreon if you want to know. But the reality is we are still in this honking downtrend. The chances of us doing this and getting a flush is pretty fucking high right now, currently, based off this data. It's quite obvious. So this is what I'm looking for. I always said I'm going to skip this zone. I'm going to be probably starting to eke in down here and get more aggressive. And this is why I'm also doing dollar cost average challenge. Market flushes do happen. And is SpaceX, is the S&P, is the NASDAQ, is all the data centers, AMD, whatever, going to show signs of that creakiness? Because I do think that Mr. Trump, President Trump, is kicking the can down the road a little bit, especially with certain things he's saying. But if you want more data and more information, I've got a little dashboard. It comes with a Discord. It's all based off Patreon. It's pretty cool. It's pretty funky. It might help you get on the right side of the market. I am developing other bits and pieces for it as well as we move forward. But my goal, and I said it before, buy more Bitcoin low, take profit high. Can't really reinvent the wheel any more than that, can I? But unfortunately, it's boring for some. People get bored, people get frustrated, and they watch other assets moon, which is why I've recommended Mexis, because you can get involved in stuff with the volatility if you so wish to, using the world of crypto. So jump in the link below. There's some awesome discounts on that. But if you're not yet done so, watch this. This might help you with a bit more of the understanding of what my little brain does.